This week, the Royal Commission into Anti-Semitism handed down its interim report. Now, the headlines say things like redactions, Bondi, which is all true, but it's kind of missing the point, because this goes so much deeper than anti-Semitism. Hate speech laws, the social media ban, the push to regulate your feed, the quiet censorship of the internet for all Australians that no one has been talking about over the last 10 years. Every new power dropped on Australians in the last 9 months, this commission is the centerpiece. This is where every one of those threads converge. Now, by the end of this video, you will know what a Royal Commission actually is, how this one is going to affect you, your friends and your loved ones, and what's really happening behind the scenes that's about to reshape life as we know it. And you'll know it more than anyone else who's relying on news headlines and opinion pieces. Buried in the founding document is a phrase that decides who fits into Australian society and what happens to you if you don't. And that phrase is social cohesion. Now, I'm a criminal defense lawyer and a former police prosecutor. This channel exists to give you, the people, access to what the law actually means, not just what it says, and to break down the powers that have been quietly accumulating across this country for the last 9 months. I'm breaking this commission down stage by stage. Letters patent, terms of reference, interim report, final report, every bill that follows, right through to the end. And it is a big task, but it is an important one. So subscribe, ring the bell, because if you don't understand what's happening here, you are about to be asleep at the wheel. Now, I want you to forget what you think you know. A Royal Commission is not a Senate inquiry, and it's not a parliamentary committee. It's not a court. It is the most powerful investigative tool the Australian government has. Now, a Senate inquiry can ask you to give evidence, but a Royal Commission can compel you. They can make you. It can summon witnesses. It can demand documents, and it can hold hearings in secret. And refusing to comply is a criminal offence. Now, when the government picks a Royal Commission over an inquiry, they are picking the most coercive instrument that they have at their disposal. And that tells you exactly how big the legal consequences are likely to be. Every Royal Commission moves through stages. If you miss one, then you'll miss where the legal implications start to have real effect. So stage 1, letters patent, the legal instrument that creates the commission and defines its scope. They are signed by the Governor-General on the King's behalf, and we are going to dissect that in detail. Step 2 are public submissions, so anyone can make these, individuals, lawyers, businesses, community groups, and you. Submissions are still open right now, and I will come back to that and show you how it works. Now, stage 3, we're talking about hearings, public and secret. The Commission has already held hearings, but there are more scheduled in the coming months. Stage 4 is the interim report, and that is where we are at right now. The interim report was handed to the Governor-General on the 30th of April, and there were 14 recommendations that have already been made, but 5 of them have been blacked out. Stage 5, more hearings, more submissions. This is the part that most people don't realise, because the commission isn't yet done. After the interim report, hearings continue and evidence keeps being gathered right up until the deadline. Stage 6 is the final report, which is due no later in this commission than the 14th of December 2026, which is a year after the Bondi attack. And stage 7, the final stage, the government responds. The Commonwealth tables its response, and then it drafts legislation. And that is the moment that your laws change. So we are at stage 4 of 7. Submissions are still open. Hearings are still going to happen, and you still have time to put your view on the record. If you have a view on speech, protest, or surveillance, make a submission. Go to the Royal Commission's website. I've put a link in the description for you. The Commission is required to consider every submission it receives, including yours. So this is the letters patent for this commission, the founding document. Every single power the commission has, every recommendation it can make, and every line it can investigate, it all starts here. Think of it like the rules of the commission. Now, the preamble, the bit at the very beginning, it tells you exactly what the government wants this commission to do. Strengthening the national consensus in support of democracy, freedom, and the rule of law, brackets, social cohesion, provides the strongest defense against anti-Semitism and other forms of religious and ideologically motivated extremism. Here's the hidden bit, in plain sight. Social cohesion, the thing that's in the brackets. Now, this has been defined as the national consensus in support of democracy, freedom, and the rule of law. Now, that might sound harmless, but it is not. And here's why. Whoever decides what counts as the national consensus decides who is inside Australian society and who is outside. Whoever decides what threatens that consensus decides what conduct gets criminalised, monitored, or deplatformed. Now, that is the load-bearing phrase of this entire commission, and it colours everything that we are about to cover next. Okay, there are 5 terms of reference which are set out as letters A through E, and I'm going to take you through each one and explain what they actually mean. Term A is tackling anti-Semitism. Now, there are 4 parts to this. Part 1, investigating the nature, prevalence, and the key drivers of anti-Semitism, including religious and ideologically motivated extremism and radicalisation. Part 2, identify opportunities for government to respond, including de-radicalisation programs, whatever that means, and strengthening social cohesion. Part 3, recommend measures to counteract manifestations of anti-Semitism. And Part 4, assess the impact on Jewish Australians' security, health, and daily life. Parts 1 and 4 are uncontroversial. The Commission needs to investigate what happened and who was hurt. That's clear-cut, and it is relatively straightforward. But parts 2 and 3 are where it gets really interesting for you. Let's break down the word manifestations in part 3. That word is broader than the word acts, which was not used. It is broader than the word crimes, which also wasn't used. Manifestations include, among many, many other things, expression, symbols, conduct, and association. So this then raises an obvious question. When the Commission talks about drivers of extremism and manifestations of anti-Semitism, who decides where the line is? Is criticism of a foreign government, like Israel, a manifestation? Is a protest a driver? Well, you don't decide, the Commission decides. And whatever it recommends becomes the template that police, schools, employers, and immigration officers use for the next decade. Now let's move to term B. That's the powers term. And this is where it touches you directly. The Commission is asked to consider improvements to police, border force, immigration, and ASIO training and protective security. Fine. But subparagraph 3, part 3, is the one to watch. Whether these authorities have sufficient powers and resources to respond to anti-Semitic conduct. So here's the key change. The Commission is explicitly invited to recommend more powers for police and ASIO, not whether they have enough, whether they need more. And this is where it connects to something that we have already covered on this channel. The new ASIO powers being voted on right now. Expand ASIO's compulsory questioning regime, the secret questioning regime. ASIO can detain you, question you, again, in secret, and make it a criminal offence to tell anyone, including a lawyer of your choice, that it happened. That power used to be limited to terrorism. The new bill extends it to politically motivated violence, foreign interference, and promotion of communal violence. So I broke this down in my ASIO explainer, and I will put that on the screen at the end of this video. Here's the point that connects ASIO to this Royal Commission, and the part that no one is talking about, how they fit together. The scope of ASIO's powers will expand automatically every time the definition of what they cover expands. ASIO doesn't need a new bill every time. The bill is already written. All that has to change is the meaning of the words inside it. So when this commission recommends a new definition of extremism, and under term A1 it is required to, every existing ASIO power flows into that new definition automatically. So a new definition equals the same powers, but a wider net. It's a ratchet, and it only goes one way. Term C, the Bondi-specific term. There are 8 subparagraphs, and I'll cover the Commission's actual Bondi findings in the next video, but for now, there are 2 subparagraphs that you need to know. Subparagraph 7. The Commission must identify any gaps in existing legal and regulatory frameworks that contributed to the attack. And subparagraph 8. The Commission must consider whether agencies were prevented from taking prohibitive actions by the current legislative framework, the current laws. The letters patent invites recommendations to fill those perceived gaps, to remove the legal obstacles, often known in the criminal law as protections. That is the legal pathway by which the next round of police, surveillance, and pre-charge detention powers become lawful. Whatever the Commission finds was missing, that's what gets added to the statute book. And under Term B, it also, by definition, gets added to ASIO's toolkit at the exact same time. So now we get to the term that almost no one is reading, Term D. Any other recommendations, so not anti-Semitism specific, not Bondi specific, any recommendation the Commission can argue strengthens social cohesion or counters extremism in scope. This isn't just a commission about a terrorist attack. It is a commission about what holds Australians together, what that looks like, and whoever defines cohesion defines the limits of dissent. So here's what Term D means for you. The Commission can recommend changes to protest laws, foreign interference laws, charity regulations, immigration screening, online platform liability, and education curriculum. Anything it can frame as strengthening cohesion. Every loose thread the government has been pulling on for 5 years can be tied into a single set of recommendations under this one paragraph. Social cohesion is the bow on top. That is the true centerpiece. That is what the Commission is actually doing. Now the final term, Term E. Now that is what's called a catch-all. If something turns up that the drafters didn't anticipate, the Commission can investigate it anyway. All right, then there are the operational rules, and these two are going to touch you directly. The Commission can redact what the letters patent call operationally sensitive information. Intelligence sources, methods, particular operations, information from foreign governments. This is why 5 of the 14 recommendations in the interim report are blacked out. The Commonwealth has formally reserved the right to act on recommendations that the public is not allowed to read. So we don't really know what the full scope of the interim report goes to. By the time you find out what those recommendations were, if you ever do, the legislation will have already been drafted. So let's connect every piece. The preamble defines social cohesion as the test of belonging. Term A maps the entire field for extremism. Term B invites more powers for police and ASIO. Term C invites recommendations to remove legal obstacles to those powers. Again, often known as protections. Term D lets the Commission recommend anything that strengthens social cohesion. 5 recommendations are already hidden from the public view, but will be taken into account when the government starts to think about new laws. And we are only at stage 4 of 7. There are 3 more stages of submissions, hearings, and findings before a single bill hits Parliament. That's what affects you. Your speech, your phone, your protest, your job, your visa if you're not a citizen, every one of those is downstream of this Commission's final report. So there are 2 things that you can do right now. 1, make a submission. The Commissioner has to consider it. 2, subscribe and ring the bell. The next video covers what was actually recommended in the interim report, what's in the public version, what we know about the redactions, what the proposed national gun buyback really means in legal terms. And at the risk of sounding repetitive, social cohesion. That is a phrase that you are going to want to remember because you are going to hear it every time a new law lands on your speech, or your protest, or your phone, or your feed, or anything. So you may not have known how a Royal Commission works before. You may not have known what this commission was really about, but now you do. So all I ask of you is, don't go back to sleep